मटेरियलचा टाईप ओळखण्यासाठी बरोबर, प्लास्टिक मटेरियलचा टाईप्स ऑफ प्लास्टिक ओळखण्यासाठी आपण त्याच्यावर फ्लेम टेस्ट केली होती. आज आपल्याला पुढचं मटेरियल बघायचं आहे बरोबर. सो विल स्टार्ट विथ द नेक्स्ट प्रॅक्टिकल, दॅट इज शेप मेमरी अलायझर. ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल आपण जे शिकलो पॉलिमर मटेरियल मध्ये, नॅनो मटेरियलच्या शिवाय आपण काही ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल शिकलो. सो देर इज वन ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल कॉल्ड एज अ शेप मेमरी अलायझर. शेप मेमरी अलाय म्हणून ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल आहे. मटेरियल कसं असतं थोडक्यात प्रॅक्टिकल काय म्हणून थोडक्यात तुमच्या सिलेबस काय प्रॅक्टिकल नंबर आयडेंटिफाय बिहेवियर ऑफ द शेप मेमरी अलाय फंक्शन विथ रिगार्ड टू टेम्परेचर. टेम्परेचरचा काय परिणाम होतो, टेम्परेचरचा काय फरक पडतो आपल्याला थोडक्यात बघायचं आहे. सो दॅट विल डिस्कस इन दिस शेप मेमरी अलाय बरोबर. शेप मेमरी अलाय महत्वाचं पार्ट आहे. ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल जे आहे त्यामध्ये शेप मेमरी अलाय इज वन ऑफ द ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल लाईक नॅनो मटेरियल. नॅनो मटेरियल सारखं एक शेप मेमरी अलाय काय ऍडव्हान्स मटेरियल आहे. So shape memory alloys alloy function आहे. So we are studying that shape memory alloy. स्टुडंट आवाज येतोय ना माझा? मी स्क्रीन शेअर करतो. जस्ट मिनिट. स्क्रीन शेअर झालाय ना बरोबर. आपण 12 प्रॅक्टिकल बघतोय. प्रॅक्टिकल आयडेंटिफाय बिहेवियर ऑफ द शेप मेमरी अलाय ऍज अ फंक्शन विथ रिगार्ड्स टू टेम्परेचर बरोबर. टेम्परेचर वाढल्यामुळे शेप मेमरी अलाय मध्ये काय फरक पडतो ते आपल्याला बघायचं आहे. सो जस्ट मिनिट. आयडेंटिफाय बिहेवियर ऑफ शेप मेमरी अलाय बरोबर. शेप मेमरी अलाय सांगितलं मला. शेप मेमरी अलाय काय असतं त्याचं ही रिटर्न टू द रिअल शेप. त्याचा जो आधीचा शेप असतो त्या रिटर्न तो रिटर्न होतो. दॅट इज कॉल्ड एज शेप मेमरी अलाय. युट्यूबला बघू शकतो. So identify behavior of shape memory order. शेप मेमरी ऑर्डर का सांगितलं म्हणून मी ते शेप मेमरी ऑर्डर त्याला काय म्हणतात, इट इज रिमेन्स इट्स ओरिजिनल शेप. त्याला बरोबर हिटिंग केल्यानंतर शेप मध्ये त्याचा रिअल तो दॅट इज वाय इट इज कॉल्ड एज अ शेप मेमरी ऑर्डर. शेप मेमरी ऑर्डर विथ रिगार्ड्स टू टेम्परेचर. शेप मेमरी ऑर्डर regards to temperature. टेम्परेचर मध्ये फरक पडल्यामुळे शेप मेमरी ऑर्डरचं बिहेवियर कसं चेंज होईल विथ रिगार्ड्स टू टेम्परेचर. इथे बघू शेप मेमरी आलायचं पण स्क्रीन शेअर होते स्टुडंट व्हिडिओ शेअर केला मी होते का रे हॅलो
Yes, sir.
स्टुडंट व्हिडिओ शेअर होईल बघा दोन मिनिटं वेळ लागेल. सो शेप मेमरी आलोय डेमॉन्स्ट्रेशन बघू आपण दिसतंय सगळ्यांना स्टुडंट ना
Well, when we think of material, we usually think of bending, especially metal, passes elastic limits like this, and then we permanently form metal, and then not really get it back very easily, and we have to actually get that back to its original shape. Now, with a shape memory alloy, like this, it's really unique properties that you don't see in other metals. Example, double elasticity, long metal. Called check lubricator. To do that, I have to take it to a low temperature. I'm cooling it down here. And it's really cool. And when it's at this low temperature phase, I can deform it to any shape I like. Yep. And just get it back to its original low temperature phase. And put it back up to the obviously awful temperature phase. Okay. It comes back to its high temperature phase. Obviously, I can tell the fun of this. Take this and put it all the way in. There we go. So all you can do is, I don't want to get extra motion right into my face. I pop it all the way in. It's like a reverse rope trick. All the way in. Look at this. Heating it all up. There you go. And remember, it's at this low temperature phase. Right, get it all in. There you go. Take it out. There you go. How can I do? Held at low temperature structure. And as long as it doesn't warm up, it'll keep that structure. Of course, like with room temperature here, room temperature is above the vital temperature for the transition temperature for the switch between the high temperature phase and the low temperature phase. So eventually, it's will slower. Now this is like 2 minutes because it's got quite a high thermal mass. It takes a while to warm up. So we're going to speed the film up, by the way. We're going to get a bit forward. So we'll just wait here and I'm going to try it. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Fantastic. Now, so remember when it's like a phase, I can push it to its low temperature phase by pump. Or I can drop it into temperature, to a low temperature environment, like this dimension. I can drop it below its transition temperature. Now in its low temperature phase, I can perform it like I did before. And I can now take it out again, but I'm not going to try and heat it up quickly. Because before it took a while to heat up. So obviously there's a lot of energy stored in there. Not a lot of energy to perform the material that's in the phase. So here we go. I'm going to drop it in. I'm going to keep it back. There we have it. Didn't quite go according to plan, but never mind. Give you another straight point. There we go. I'll do it again just for the fun of it. You can see I can end the hours of fun with this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Fully transformed back down. And of course, done with this is to cool it down to infiltrate this low temperature phase. Now as it slowly warms up on my warm hand, it's going to revert to its original shape. So what's this used for, Dave?
Well, it's designed for fractures and bones either side of the fracture. And so you can drill a little hole in your bone, pop one end in, the other end is open on the other side, and as it warms up to closer to the fracture side up.
Now one of the things with alloy is that you can achieve transition temperature so that you could have the shed memory effect and you can produce the light between that minus one and plus one. So you can change the composition of the alloy slightly. So anyhow, here I have a typical spring, and this one's got a transition temperature of about 7 degrees. So I'm in this high, low temperature state now, so that means I can deform it. Low temperature crystal phase or again, to get it back to its high temperature phase, I have to go above 60 degrees, so it's hot water here. Yeah. Let's go back to its original shape. That's my spin temperature. Well,
हे बघा स्टुडंट, आपण आता बघितलं का लो शेप मेमरी आलोय. शेप मेमरी आलोयला आपण हिटिंग केलं होतं बरोबर. तो रॉड होता समोर, रॉड होता शेप मेमरी आलोयचा. त्याला हिटिंग केल्यामुळे काय आलं, तो बेंड झाला बऱ्याच ठिकाणी बरोबर. बेंड झाल्यानंतर आफ्टर कुलिंग इट इज अगेन रिगेनिंग इट्स ओरिजिनल शेप. जो आधीचा जो शेप होता तो मेमरी प्रमाणे काय होतो, रिटर्न टू इट्स ओरिजिनल बिफोर शेप बरोबर. आधीचा जो शेप होता त्याचा रिटर्न झाला तो. लाईक युअर सेकंड एक्झाम्पल स्प्रिंगचं एक्झाम्पल होतं. स्प्रिंगला त्यांनी इलॉंगेट केलं होतं आणि त्याला हिटिंग केलं होतं. हिटिंग केल्यानंतर जेव्हा त्याला कुलिंग केलं, अगेन इट इज रिटर्न टू दॅट स्प्रिंग शेप. सो दॅट इज बिहेवियर मेमरी आलोय टू इट्स रिटर्न टू इट्स original shape. So just again we will see in that part. पुढचं एक्झाम्पल बघू आपण शेप मेमरी आल्यासाठी. सुपर आलं आहे ते शेप मेमरी आलं बघायचं. थोडक्यात बघू आपण शेप मेमरी आलं.
material oil or the non-conductive oil, the silicon oil rather, how the things can be like built and how they can provide a good viscosity or the kind of damping features. And then even they can also be acted as a oil. The last lecture we discussed about the electrodes and magnetostructure material. And even you see under the action of this electric and magnetic field, how the shape change or the shape of side changes are being there. And also you see how they can be acted as the damping, this magnetostructure or the electrostatic transfer. They can also actuate the high amount of like the forces, the high magnitude of the forces when it is being required. So they can act as the damper and the actuator at the same time. In this lecture now, we are going to discuss about the another type of material, which also this is also coming under the smart material, named as the shape memory alloy. The name itself speaks that if any changes are there in the shape, that can be now memorized by these alloys. And whenever we during the reverse impact or during the unloading effect, they can be retraced into their original size, or original whatever the shape or the size is there, without putting any external effort. So you see here we are going to study about the mechanism. We are going to study about that how these materials or the alloys can be applied in our battery production process. So when the metals which we are generally characterizing, like using say ductile or we can say brittle or various other things, just by the physical quantity, like what is the tensile strength are there, what is things like the compressive or flexion toughness are there, what is the malleabilities are there, the conductivities are there. But in this case now, in which we are now talking about the shape memory alloy, we need to add, not only we need to talk about these strengths, along with we need to add anthroformic qualities of memory and trainability. That means it's a very clear thing that you see here now, along with the common mechanical we can say properties, we need to now put the anthroformic properties together. So shape memory alloy can exhibit what exactly we can say that what the memorical features are there, the effect of these common mechanical properties of the material. So if such alloys are, we can say, plastically deformed at one temperature, remember we are talking not the elastic, which is a common feature of all the materials. But when we are plastically deformed these materials at one temperature, they will be completely recovered to their original shape when they are being raised to a higher temperature. In recovering their shape, the alloys can produce a displacement or a force as a function of this temperature. So in many alloys we can say that the combination of both is really feasible and possible, where the mechanical strength and you see this the memory effect can be added together. And we can make the metal change. We can say change in the shape, change in the position, pull, compress, expand, bend, or we can say the turn with the heat, just as on the activator. The key feature of the product that causes this shape memory property we can include the high force during the shape change, the large movement with a small temperature change.
आपण बघितलं मग शेप मेमरी आला काय होतं त्याचं शेप जो मेमरीत असतो आधीचा शेप तो इट इज अगेन रिगेन इट्स ओरिजिनल शेप दॅट इज शेप मेमरी आला. आपण पुढचं प्रॅक्टिकल पण काय बघू आपण प्रॅक्टिकल नंबर 13. मागच्या टेप साईड टेप हॅलो हां मॅडम हां ओके आज आपण बघितलं शेप मेमरी आलाय 12 प्रॅक्टिस आपण बघू use relevant field tester to determine the adhesive strength of a scotch tape, electrical tape and masking tape on a smooth surface. बरोबर field testerचं प्रॅक्टिकल होतं मागच्या वेळेस ते बघितलं होतं आपण मग आपण लास्ट प्रॅक्टिकल बघू आता 14वर बरोबर determination of the effect of quenching media on the hardness of mild steel बरोबर determination of the effect of quenching media म्हणजे काय कूलिंग मीडिया असतो तो इफेक्ट म्हणजे काय इफेक्ट ऑफ quenching media on the effect on the hardness of mild steel बरोबर effect of quenching media on the hardness of mild steel आपण प्रॅक्टिकल बघू आपण थोडक्यात जस्ट the effect of quenching media quenching media on the hardness of mild steel मतलब quenching medium का water, oil, there are the quenching medium. Students screen share झाले ना रे? Hello.
I think it's very important to get students to do
Students screen
labs
share
in
होते
the
हैं ना?
classroom, but sometimes
Yes, sir.
the cost is
Students
prohibitive and a lot of schools just don't provide the facilities. And so it's important sometimes to look at labs that are not as costly. For this lab, all you really need is a Bunsen burner with a source of natural gas, a couple pliers, and the most expensive item, a bobby pin, or two, or three, or four, depending on how you want to do it. I think it's real important to look at some of the current items going on in science, and one of the big majors where students are majoring in is material science or materials engineering. And one of the courses that they might take in a class like that or in civil engineering is an entire course on steel and how the steel is composed and how steel can vary. Now, why would something like this be important? Some people say that when the two towers crashed, the planes crashed into them, that the intense burning of the jet fuel, the heat changed the structural crystalline structure of some of the steel, and that helped facilitate some of the crash. It's important that when construction engineers are building something with steel, that they use the correct steel for that particular purpose. If you look at chef's knives, they will have a certain type of steel called chromoly steel or moly steel or hardened steel. There are different types of steel. And one of the easy ways to look at that is to look at some of the properties of a bobby pin. What you might want to do is take a bobby pin and just have the students analyze and get a feel for how that bobby pin feels. You can see I let it go and it twists back. It's got some flexibility. Well, it's got a particular crystalline structure. How is that crystalline structure going to change if we heat it? Let's take a bobby pin. But now recognize, in the Bunsen burner flame, it's going to get very, very hot. So what I'm going to use are two pliers to hold this. You might also want to recognize that there could be a plastic coating on the bobby pin. And so you might get some smoke out of that. Don't worry about that. It's not going to be dangerous, but some people might worry about that. So let's turn on the Bunsen burner flame. Remember, this flame, when it's optimal, is nearly invisible. And so you have the flame, and you can see that hot part of the flame as the inner cone. So what I'm going to do is take these two pliers and just hold it in the flame. And I'm just going to hold it right there. You can see some of that burning off.
Hello. हाँ सर.
You can see that I've got it red hot.
कैसे से डाटा?
You see that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of the flame and just let it cool. Now recognize that steel will take a little while to cool.
ये सर की तरह
So
फोन
as
कर
I'm
दो
doing
मैं.
that, I'm going to turn off the Bunsen burner flame just to be on the safe side.
नहीं हे माझं MEM साठी चालू MEM.
And then what
हो
you
मी
have
फोन
to
करतो
do, and it's pretty
सगळी जण
tough
फोन
to see
करतो
visually, but you want to see if it changes any. And you see that it has lost some of its springiness. And you've had a portion of a crystalline change in there, and that's why it's lost some of its springiness, as they say. Now, this is what we call annealing. Annealing is where you heat it to a particular temperature and then let it cool slowly. So you can take this bobby pin, your standard or comparison, and
Turn on the Bunsen burner flame again. Last one, we heated it to red hot, and then we let it cool slowly. And I'm going to put this right over here. Is that appropriate? And I'm going to this time cool it very quickly. I'm going to pull it apart a little and use the pliers. And we're going to quench it. We're heating in the flame. You can see that it got red hot. And now I'm going to quickly put it in the water to cool it. Are you able to see some of the solid? It's precipitating. What we have here, as I said, is in steel we have multiple types of crystalline structures. We have one type where it will only be able to contain a small part of the carbon. And that's one of the parts of steel, is the amount of carbon that you have. One type of carbon, the amount will make it, well, let's analyze it. Let's look at this and see what happens. We've heated it to red hot, we've cooled it quickly, and let's see what happens. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was very brittle. And so what we've done is change the crystalline structure in a situation where it was not able to, as we cooled it, contain as much carbon. So what we were able to see here is some of that carbon precipitating as iron carbides. And so we're pulling out some of that carbon since the new crystalline structure.
नाही होत नाही का फोनवर मागायचं का तो मग ते डेट कधी दिली तुम्ही देणार समजा साधारण सटन एक्स्ट्रा मी देऊ बरोबर ठीक आहे सर हाँ सर ते म्हणे त्या शाळेवर जाणं होत नाही म्हणे तुम्ही डेटा मागून घ्या म्हणे तुमचा डेटा कन्नाने आणि निताने शाळा आहे तिकडे सटाण्याकडे कोणतं मी ते 23 तारीख दाखवलं तिथे मग
Can't hold it. Now, if you are in an AP class, the handout, the write-up will talk about some of this in terms of the face-centered or body-centered. So you can get some more details in the handouts, but you can see that it could not contain as much carbon, and so some were precipitated. Let's try one more. Gonna bend it a little. Hold it in the pliers. Remember, this is going to get very hot, so that's why the pliers are there. Got to heat it. You can see some of that plastic burning off. That's some of the initial flame yellow component. Okay. I've got it red hot again. Now I'm going to cool it water, just like I did before. Okay, you can still see some of the iron carbide coming out. Now, if I would try to break this right now, it is going to be brittle, just like the last one. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat it. Well, guess what? We'll have to do that again. Let me just show you. It is very brittle, and what you want to do is, as you cool it, what you want to do is gently heat it in the flame again, and hopefully lose some of that brittleness. Do this, put this over here. Get into that red hot part, cool it, then I'm going to gently heat it again. And what you get, I don't know if the camera can see it, but you get kind of a blue oxide coating on it. And then if you let it cool, still a little hot. You can see that, guess what? That brittleness has disappeared and it's gone back to a springy metallic form. Even though before it was brittle, by heating it again gently with that blue coating, we brought back the springiness. And so this is a very cheap, very easy lab that the students love to do, and you can thoroughly get an understanding of steel and then connect it with other things, like carbon steel and knives. And if you even want to go to another level, I have here a particular knife that you can get. It's a ceramic knife, though. It has no metal in it whatsoever. So if you're talking about material science, too bad I can't have you heft this knife, because if you have a great chef's knife, it's pretty heavy, but this is very light. But with the ceramic coating, it's also very sharp. And it's phenomenal in the sense that a chef's knife, you can use a sharpening tool or a steel. You can't do that on this. You have to send it in free of charge, but they will sharpen it. They have to use a certain steel on that. But you can once again have a connection with chemistry and materials out there in their real world. And if someone likes chefs or cooking, this might be a connection. So try the bobby pin lab. It works great. Thank you.
So in this way, students, we have seen the two practicals today. First is that if determination of shape memory alloy, behavior of shape memory alloy in regards to temperature, and last is quenching media. Quenching media means what happen? Cooling media. बरोबर? Quenching media म्हणजे काय असतं स्टुडंट? Cooling media on the hardness of steel. Cooling media काय काय? Water, oil, then even your brine solution, water plus salt. They are having different effect on your hardness of a mild steel. So in this way, we have studied your practicals. So student, before completing the lecture, just you can have, if any question, you can ask me.